Amalei Tzadikim Yoidu Lishmacha Yeshvu Yisharim Esbanecha. What do you mean?
Right after the couch to the bottom. Be perfect. Tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, and it's just enough. And that's the what's my life. I give a show. I'll take over. I'm going to show. I'm going to show.
Amen. 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 Yeshua Abem Barach Lelam Milmais Barich. Amen. 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 Okay. Let's do a review from yesterday and then get into chapter 2. At the beginning of the mimer, Likutei Torah opens with the verse, Tziyon bemishpat Tipadeh. Zion will be redeemed through judgment, or captives through tzedakah. The Alter Rebbe cites the phrase in these words that I commanded today from Shema, and then refers to the interpretation that the phrase serves as an ongoing command that every day, right? What do we learn out from the word hayom? That you should regard the words of Torah as new. The way to achieve this outlook is through contemplating the inner meaning of the words of the phrase and these words that I command you today. That through fulfilling the mitzvos in this world today, hayom, we draw down the level of anochi. Anochi is essence. In contrast, the existence of all the worlds, right? The entire spiritual cosmos, anything that's a created dimension, is only from the level of malchus, which is a zib, which is a ray, a glimmer, a reflection, not essence. Essence is the thing. The ray is a reflection of that thing, an image. On this basis, we can understand our sage's teaching on the 1 hour of good tshuva and good deeds in this world, the spirit of the entire life of the world to come, right? That's chapter 4 of Pirkei Avos. In the world to come, the souls derive pleasure from the radiance of the divine presence, a mere ray of godliness. In contrast to tshuva and good deeds in this world here today, God's essence, that should make you a little bit more excited about doing mitzvahs. In the Maimer and Likutei Torah, the Alter Rebbe then proceeds to explain that through contemplating the implication of the phrase that I command you today, as we just did, we did it very, right, in a very shorthand fashion, but nonetheless, that's the essential idea. Through contemplating the words that I command you today, right? Through the fulfillment of the Torah commands you, I draw down the God's essence. A person will approach the mitzvahs with the unique vitality and energy, right? Like nothing else. Like the way people approach the news today. People approach the news because they think it's the source of their existence, right? I have to see what's going on so I know how to respond. But really, we should approach the Torah mitzvahs in that way, right? And we learn that out from the verse in Shema. Okay. He will then see them as having been given today. Every day will be given as new in his eyes, right? So what's the imperative of hayom? Hayom is we have to see the mitzvahs and Torah as being given new every day. How do we do that? By contemplating what's really said in the verse, that Hashem's essence is drawn down when we do a mitzvah here today in this world, more so than the reward we experience in the next world. Okay. The Alter Rebbe then proceeds to state that all the above, such an approach of freshness and vitality, is the way that it should be, right? That's the ideal. However, that's not the case for everybody. For most people, I would say it's not the case. One's bitterness and joy stems from matters of this world, right? Inevitably, it's going to be one or the other. Then the godly spark within him is in exile, as it were, right? So what do we mean when we say the godly spark is in exile? We mean he's deriving his excitement and vitality from matters of this world. Again, from the news. Then the godly spark, and that's considered being in exile, as it were. With his animal soul concerning such a situation, the verse states, is Tziyon, right? The godly soul will be redeemed through judgment, right? And if we learn Likutei Torah, judgment there is mishnayos, right? What does mishpat mean? Mishpat actually means mishnayos. So the trick there should be to read it Tziyon bemishnaayos Tipadeh. Through the means described further in the mimer, this soul can be redeemed to this state of exile. Okay, explanation over is necessary. So he's going to challenge it to strengthen the Alter Rebbe's point. He's going to challenge it by saying, I would say categorize these as past and future. So there's a challenge of the past. But I recall serving Hashem with excitement and vitality without without understanding all this. So how does that work? Okay, that's one challenge. But seemingly from the wording of the Alter Rebbe, that's not the case. It either you take it on fully, all your energy vitality is coming through understanding that Hashem's essence is drawn down through the mitzvahs here today in this world, or inevitably you're going to be driving energy and vitality from matters of the world. Okay, and then the second challenge is another statement where we say, what about the world to come, right? And in this case, the world to come is including Tchias HaMesim, right, which is going to be a greater revelation than even Gan Eden, right? The revelation in this world when Mashiach comes, and specifically the third stage of it, which is called Tchias HaMesim, is going to be a greater revelation than even what the souls are experiencing in Gan Eden, the next world. Okay, and that was the end of the first chapter. So let's get into the second chapter. But Yuvan Zeh B'Haktim. Okay, the idea that the possibility of viewing the Torah mitzvahs is new and not merely an old edict can only result from the contemplating the implications of the phrase that I command you today. Okay, from Shema, which hopefully you should have read recently or will read soon. Right? Because again, we said that Anochi, that's Hashem's essence. It's not even a name of Hashem. It's higher than Hashem's name. Right? And then command you, mitzavcha. So there's a connection there. You're establishing a bond with him. Today, hayom, in this world, here now, in the realm of time and space when you can do mitzvahs. A connection with God's essence can be understood by prefacing the following concept. The possibility of regarding the words of Torah as new each day comes about through the revelation of a dimensionalness that transcends change. Since all the worlds are defined by space and time, right? So what do we mean when we say a world? This is actually critical. This is chapter 7 of Shar Yichud B'Amunah, by the way, in Tanya, the second part of Tanya. But originally the first part of Tanya, but now the second part of Tanya. What do we mean when we say a world? We mean space and time. That's the definition of a world. A world equals space and time. Fine. Dimensions, limitations, flows, right? You can say time is the measure of change. Change where? Change in space. Shizman hu shinui, and the very nature of time involves change. Good. For if there is no change, there can be no measurement of time. Indeed, the transition from past to present and then to future obviously involves change. Fine. Good. It follows that in order for the Torah and its mitzvahs to be regarded as new every day, so if there must be a revelation of God's infinite light, which transcends being enclosed within the world, or hasoivev, and this is called the divine light that is soivev kol almin, encompassing all worlds. Okay. As the Rebbe proceeds to explain in the Mimer, God's light radiates forth and expresses itself in two fundamental manners. Okay, so we can break down God generally, God's light, God's revelation into two manners. There's an encompassing manner, which we call or hasoivev, a light that encompasses, transcends, which transcends limitations of Seder Shtalshalos, right? It's too great to be limited. So you can remember this by sovev is like so very, very big, right? It's a light that's so very, very big. It can't be contained within any aspects of Seder Shtalshalos, which is like the chain-like descent that creates the physical world of here and now, ultimately. The spiritual cosmos, and which reflects God's fundamental infinity, right? So when we think of Hashem, we think of him as infinity. Usually, we don't think of him as being physical, though we should start thinking about him as being physical as well. Okay, so that's the first dimension, is or hasoivev. The second dimension is in a pervasive manner by which the light of that is mamalik kolmin, right? The light that permeates. So God is encompassing and he permeates simultaneously. No problem there, because God is transcending the limitations of time and space. God's light that fills all the worlds, which enclose itself within them and adapts itself to their limited framework. Or hamislabish ba'oilamos or hamimale. The light that is enclosed in the world, the light that is mamalik kolmin. Hu ba bitziur. Mugbal lahachayos es hanivraim lefi erkam is conveyed according to a limited pattern, so that it is able to impart life to the created beings according to their individual levels. The term "enclothed" implies that just as clothes are tailored to fit the person wearing them, so too does this type of godly light adapt itself to conform to the prevailing structures within the spiritual cosmos. Okay, good. As our sages comment, just as the soul fills the body, so too does the Holy One, blessed be he, fill his world. Dichmoi, shechayus hanevesh hamislabish b'aguf, ulefi oifen evrei aguf. Just as the life energy of the soul flows itself and the body adopts itself in accordance with the nature of the limbs and organs of the body, right? Your soul flows through you in a perfect manner so that it doesn't nullify your body out. The soul doesn't, right? It allows your body to remain a body because it limits the infinite dimension. The godly part of you limits itself enough so that your body can remain enlivened without being canceled out by the soul's greatness, the soul's light. Enabling each limb and organ to receive vitality suitable for it. The brain is the most refined organ in the body, right? It's very wet. Water is associated with chachma. Hence, the vitality it receives is of a more refined nature than the received by other organs. Similarly, the heart is more refined than other organs. The vitality it received is thus accordingly more refined. This pattern continues progressively throughout all the limbs and organs of the body. The life energy each one receives is adapted to its unique nature. So too, a similar pattern is reflected in the vitality of the world, which is drawn down from the godly light that is Mamali Kololmin. To refer back to our sage's words, the Holy One, blessed be He, fills all the worlds. The vitality granted to every created being is adapted to suit it in accordance with its nature. Right? It's tailor-made. Every created being gets tailor-made godly energy in order to allow it to exist as a seemingly separate entity from Hashem in this world of time and space. Okay, and this is the level of Hashem that's memale kolaming, permeates, not the level that's soviv. From this, it is understood that if this is the case with regard to the individual created beings, how much more so does it hold true with regard to the more comprehensive scope of the world as a whole? Okay, let's read this note here. It looks interesting. In chassidus, specifically the Sefer Maimarim, okay, it's explained that two types of vitality are granted to the body. Chayus kalalis, a general vitality that pervades the body as a whole, right? This is similar to what we're saying in Or HaSoiviv. And B, Chayus Pratis, a particular vitality apportioned to each limb and organ. The Chayus HaKalalis is not limited according to the individual nature of each of the body's limbs and organs, right? So this is like a house receives a general electrical influx. And then the circuit breaker's job is to apportion that general electricity to the specific places, outlets that it needs to get to. Okay, so the general electricity is like the chayes haklalis, and it's not limited according to the specific, right? It is actually to a house. I mean, from the general power plant it's coming from, but for our purposes, we'll assume it's not limited to the specific outlets. And then within the house, it's divided into, that's the chayes hapratis. Nevertheless, it too undergoes a descent. Okay, the Chaya Kalalis is not limited according to the individual nature of each of the body's limbs and organs. The very same life energy is found in the head as in the foot, right? So in terms of qualitatively, right, the kind of energy, it's the same throughout. But in terms of quantitatively, how much of it, it's being limited according to what it needs. Nevertheless, it too undergoes a descent. This life energy is not by nature spiritual, and yet it adapts itself in relation to the body as a whole and becomes physical in nature. Similarly, right, this is how your body becomes. This is your body, right, is enlivened. Similarly, in general, God's light that is Mamalik Omin allows for the structures of time and space. It's downgrading. It's downgrading everything that we know about or don't know about or hasoiviv. Makom Usman, that conforms the limits of time and space. Shemitzad or Hamamale, from the standpoint of the light that is Mamalik Omin, it is impossible for any aspect or entity in this world to transcend the structure of time and space. Hence, the possibility that the Torah and its mitzvahs be continually new cannot come as a result of God's light that is Mamalik Omin. Instead, it reflects the influence of His light that is Soviv Kolmin, which transcends the limits of time and space. True, the above conclusion requires some explanation because even the godly light that encloses itself in the world is not defined by the characteristics of the world, as reflected by the interpretation of the verse. There is none holy like God, referring to God by the name Havayo. On which the Zohar comments, there are many entities that are holy, but none are as holy as Havayo. The Zohar is referring to spiritual entities as the angels, although they too are holy, right? That's literally what they recite all day, holy, holy. Set apart and distinct from our material world, their holiness nevertheless cannot compared to that of Havaya. So literally, Havaya is holy, like a whole nother dimension of holy. In this context, but the name of Havaya is referred to God's light that serves as the life force for the world. This reflects its uniqueness. Other holy entities remain distinct from material existence. By contrast, even as God's name Havaya encloses itself in the world and in the created beings to grant them life, the life force remains unaffected by this process. Right? The life force is just doing what it does. It's just being. To explain the uniqueness of such a process, in general, light shines in an encompassing manner, right? It has no regard for the recipient of the light. It just shines. That's what light does. Take, for example, the light of the sun. When sunlight enters illuminates the room, it remains distinct from and unaffected by the room. Dirty and murky as it may be, such factors will not affect the light. Conversely, the light will not have an internalized effect on the room. Though the light illuminates the room, its effect is limited to the time that it shines within the room. Okay. If the sunlight is prevented from entering the room will revert to its previous state without having undergone change whatsoever. Okay, so the recipient of the light is dependent on the light and not vice versa. For an influence to have an internalized lasting effect, it must alter its nature and adapt itself to the recipient's capacity. Right, this is the difference between chesed and rachamim. Chesed, it just does kindness willy-nilly without considering the recipient. Rachamim tailors the kindness so that with consideration for the recipient to what they can handle and what they need. For an influence to have an internalized lasting effect, it must alter its nature and adapt itself to the recipient's capacity. For example, a teacher who seeks to help a student develop his understanding cannot remain aloof and simply deliver a lecture. Instead, he must tailor the content, level, and delivery of his words to suit the faculties of the student, and he must interact with the student in a give and take relationship. Right? That's 100%. The chassidus bekadosh Havayahu, the uniqueness of the holiness, the light of God's name Havaya, shehagam shehu melubash ban is that even as it is enclosed in the created beings, he grants them life and clothing itself within them in an internalized manner. It nevertheless remains holy and distinct from them without becoming enmeshed within them or affected by them. Okay. It is possible to say that this is the meaning of our sage's teaching. He is the place of the world. All existence is brought into being within him, but the world is not his place. He's not limited by the world. Yes, the world is completely within him, but he's not dependent or affected by the world. He is the place of the world first. God's light that is Malik Alamin. For it conveys vitality to the world, and in order to do so, it must enclose itself in the world in an internalized manner. Nevertheless, the world is not his place. Neither he nor his light is enmeshed in it, and therefore not affected by this process through which vitality is conveyed to the world. Okay, he just is. With these explanations, the mimer is raising a question regarding the statements that set forth in the first part of the section. There it was explained that timelessness has its source in God's light that is Soviv Kalmin. Here it states that even his light that is Mamalik Kalmin transcends the limits of time and space. Because Mamalik Kalmin is nothing other than Soviv Kalmin made specific. In resolution, it could be explained that Hine Zeshar Nishar Bifshutoy Bifshitusoi Gam Lachresh Mislabish Boilam. The fact that the light that is Mamalik Kalmin remains simple above the limits of time and space, even after enclosing itself in the world, Hu ben geula, or applies with regard to the light itself. However, with regard to the world, the vitality that encloses itself in the world is measured and limited according to the structures that prevail in the world. Okay, so we're really saying perspective. Are we talking about Hashem's perspective or from our perspective? From our perspective, it appears limited. From Hashem's perspective, not even close. This reflects the unique godly nature of the light that is Mamalik Kolamin. Even as it encloses itself and is internalized within the world, it remains above the world. Nevertheless, the vitality the world receives is limited. The infinite dimension of this light is not imparted to the world. Therefore, the capacity to determine its mitzvahs as new every day. A perception that transcends the limitations of time. Or Hasoivev is made possible only through the revelation of God's light that is Soivev Kolomin. Okay, let's read the summary. That was a lot, but that was very good stuff. Something to think about. What else could you possibly want to think about at an hour like this? That Hashem's light, that's sort of calming, making possible about God's light that is Mamalik Coleman. The possibility of being the Torah mitzvahs is new every day, and not merely as an old edict, comes about through the revelation of a dimension of godliness that transcends change. What's change? Change is time and space. God's light that is Soviv Kalamim, which transcends the limits of time and space, which is a world. The world is time and space, okay? God's light that is enclosed within the worlds. The light is Mamalik Coleman, adopts itself to conform to prevailing structures within the spiritual cosmos, which is common. Just as the soul fills the body, so does the Holy One, blessed be He, fill His world. Just as each of the body's limbs. Oh, you could say a limb is like limit. A limitation, right? Just as each of the body's limbs and organs receives vitality suitable for it, so too is the vitality granted to every created being adapted according to its nature. From this, it can be understood that the vitality granted to the world at large does not nullify the structures of time and space. Accordingly, the possibility that the Torah mitzvahs be continually new cannot come about as a result of God's light that is Mamalik Kalmin. Rather, it reflects the influence of His light that is Soviv Kalmin. Right? Because we have to break through the structure of time and space because the natural order is changed. So in order to make something new, it has to break through the natural cycle, which is that of change. It reflects the invisible light, which transcends limits of time and space. True, even God's light that is Mamalik Kalmin transcends limits of time and space, but nevertheless, the statement applies to the light that as it exists unto itself. The vitality that is enclosed in the world, however, is limited. The infinite dimension of His light is not imparted to the world, right? So you see only the limited capacity of this infinite light, but the infinite dimension of this infinite light is not imparted to the world. So it's not affected by the world. Therefore, the capacity of the Torah mitzvahs is new every day is possible only through the revelation of God's light. That is Soivev Kolalmin. Because Mamalik Kalmin is responsible for monotony, for right? Limitation, not for breaking through limitation and newness. So we need Soviet Kalmin in order to drive this newness, this freshness into the world, to break through the level of that is Mamalik Kalmin, limitation. Okay, we'll stop here for tonight. Yashkach.